You can't be serious, man. You cannot be serious!
You can put the headphones on if you like, but they're completely redundant because you're only 3 feet or a metre away from the man you're sitting next to, and I can hear you from here. Now, welcome the great Kevin Sheedy, legend of the AFL, and if you think he was good at football and coaching, he is Mr. ANZAC. He has put this game of AFL football on ANZAC Day on the map. And the first question I want to ask you is that you didn't hear our previous discussion about the state of the game. I want you to tell me, I know you're connected and all that, and you've got to be careful. How do you like the way the game's played as we are sitting here, please?
Well, look, I think that it's going better than what you think, I reckon.
The way it's played?
Well, I think that, not that you have to love every part of the game that's changed, right?
Yes.
But it is very quick.
So you like quick? You like a quick game?
Well, I'm just saying to you, I like it quick. I think that the handball is very slick.
Is what?
Slick.
The handball?
It's disgraceful.
They can't handball on their left hand, though.
Oh, I know that. Well, they can't kick on their left foot.
No,
either,
I know.
That's because they're going so fast.
But when we were young, Sheets, when you first started,
you're kidding yourself, Sam. I mean, they got 88,700 Geelong Hawthorns.
Kevin, I've never said the game is not popular and it's exciting because it's close. I've just said the way our great game is played is disgraceful and it's just being almost not unwatchable. And you say it's quick. How quick is it when you chip the ball over there, stop, kick it over there, stop, kick it back there, stop? How quick is the game?
And then they move into a groove and get it through 18 people down the...
Well, when you were coaching and playing, they didn't stop. They just moved it into a groove straight away because they had key forwards and they had a strategy.
There were very, very good parts of the game when we played and when I coached, obviously, which is a different era than when I played.
Of course.
Right? And the game has moved on in a lot of different ways. There are some areas where you could probably change some of the rules to get it back to where you could make it a little bit more attractive than what it is. Yeah.
Why do you have to change the rules? Why don't the coaches adapt to playing a different style of football which might be more conducive to winning?
Well, some have.
Yeah, some have. I mean, like there are defensive coaches. A lot of people that are coached these days like to keep the defensive mechanism in the game, which can make it a bit boring at times.
Yes, to prop up their CV so that they've got a good win-loss ratio when they go for another job.
Well, most coaches aren't going to win the premiership.
Yeah.
And so it's a very difficult job. And you've never coached, so you want to
understand neither. No, we agree.
So it's very difficult. They've got a job and they're trying to make sure they keep that job for a while.
I've never been to the moon and I know it's there. I've never coached, but I tell you what.
You know it's there, do you? No, you have been living in space most of your life.
Given that you are the only person sitting here that has coached, when you come up with a strategy as a coach, right, you coach for what, 30 years, right? So does your strategy in the way you coached over that period of time, is it incumbent on the cattle that you have? Yes. Your strategy?
Mainly at different periods, yeah.
So if you've got James Hird and Matthew Lloyd and Scotty Lucas, you're getting the ball in, correct? You're getting it in there as quick as you can. So if you don't have that, you obviously play a different brand of footy. So you agree?
In 1993, when we didn't know what we had.
Yeah, that's right.
At the start of the year, right?
Yeah, true.
But you never played the way it's played today. No matter how bad your personnel were, in your opinion, you never played the way the game is today.
Well, no, because the game has been, they've tried to get it better by making sure people go back to their positions after every goal, which come in only not that long ago.
Why? Because
they flood back.
Because it was degenerating into a non-spectacle.
Because they were getting people behind the footy.
Tony Lockett is never going to ever lose that goal-kicking tally as the greatest goal kicker in the history of the game, because no forward's going to get the amount of goals like those players.
Because there's no designated forwards these days.
Well, they're not that good either, but they're trying to beat about.
So they're not players. So they're not that good. So you think the game's better?
Yeah,
it's not better.
I'd argue
better in many different ways.
Which ways?
The movement of the ball's pretty good. I think I love watching Dacos.
Yeah.
Oh, Dacos.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
you like watching an
And I used to love
individual.
watching Dusty. And there's a lot of players who used to go along and say, mate, this will be really good. I mean,
Dusty
the big fella
who?
here, Carey. You know, Dusty Martin.
Well, he's not playing.
I know, but I'm talking about of the latter years you're talking about.
I'm talking about this year.
Do you have
The
a
games
theory,
have been
Sheets?
shocking.
You're that technical, you lose your brain sometimes, young fella.
I'm not technical.
You are so...
It's in the
just
eyes.
an aggressive nature sometimes. The
That's-
game is still in pretty good shape.
I didn't say the game wasn't in good
Right.
shape.
Well,
I
what do you
said it's.
say?
I said it's almost unwatchable the way it's played.
Well, that's because that's the way you think. It's like
Oh.
you think differently than normal
Well,
human
I'm
beings.
asking you why you
Is it-
think it's not.
is it-
Why you think it's good today? Because it's quick, is it?
Well, yeah, I like speed. Yeah.
Is it the rule changes, Sheets? I've got a theory. Is it the rule changes or the dilution of the game because of the amount of teams? The reason for Tom Hawkins, Tex Walker, and other key forwards that have got better at the end of their careers. Is it the rules? In other words, no chopping of the arms to help the free kicks, all of that
They've
type
been
of
good.
stuff, right? So
They've been good.
so it's a bit harder, and the dilution of the game, because there is no rhyme or reason why those players have got better at the end of their career. So all of Tom Hawkins, all Australians were at the end. Tex Walker has been better in the last 3 years than he was his whole career.
He's got a better team playing in front of him at the moment.
So,
Is that correct?
well, no, because they were playing in grand
very
finals in 2017. They lost the grand final. So he was in pretty good teams, but his form's better now, the way he's playing now.
I
So
think they're
is it
better
is it the rules?
I think Adelaide are a better skilled team than they've ever been for quite some time.
The rules or dilution, though? Both.
I think the rules can
Bit of
always
both.
be changed for the betterment of the game.
Should the kick before it's a mark be extended to
How
25
about the
minutes?
coaches?
I'd say-
Coach.
Yeah,
Buddy?
that's the
I
one.
think
That's
yeah,
the one
right.
rule.
I think if you kick back in the back line, I'd like
Play
to see
on,
play on.
So no kicking backwards. The kick got to go 25 metres to be a mark,
So why would you change that rule?
so they don't chip it around.
Hang on.
Because it becomes
Because the-
boring.
yes.
You sit there and wait for it to come in. But
Thank you,
that
Kevin,
only
because
happens
it becomes
sometimes.
boring.
Yeah, I know that, but I mean, that's a part of the way the game's involved. You know, it evolves all the time. And if you have
But
to
that's not
adjust rules,
evolving.
well,
That is coaching.
it happens in soccer every time. It's a world game.
I'll tell you, the only person that hasn't.
No, but doesn't that?
But they don't kick backwards. You're kidding.
No, of course
Plenty
they.
you
Of
are.
course they kick backwards. That's the rule.
Now-
They never
You
change the
don't
rules.
like
in-
it because we've got a little bit of something out of another game called
I'm
soccer.
talking about the spectacle of it, mate. I love our game, what it used to be. Today, it is nonsense.
I'll tell you who hasn't evolved.
You know, it's just,
Well, you,
no, I mean, no.
before he came
I
in,
agree. No, I'm just stirring you up.
before
He
he
lives in
came
his own-
in,
I agree
you
with
said
you.
you agreed with me.
I do agree with
I
parts of
come
it.
down here to the Sam Newman Museum. I'm
No.
okay.
You agree with me, Kevin. You absolutely
There are
agree
some
with me.
rules we could keep.
By your
looking at.
answers, you
Change.
agree with me.
No, I don't have
You
to
said
agree
we
with
changed the rules.
everything.
You said you wouldn't. You pay a mark by kicking it backwards.
Well, I
No, he
wouldn't
said
allow
don't pay a
Sam-
mark. He said play
That's
on.
what I said. You wouldn't pay a mark by kicking it backwards. Play on. Why is that? Because it's boring watching
No,
it
but
go
I would
from
allow
there.
that kick backwards in the forward line to better angle shot at goal.
There
So
you
you're-
are. They keep driving it out to the boundary and do those check side kicks. And when Wayne said they missed them,
Well,
they
how are you
say,
going to adjust the whole opposition being in the forward 50 when a poor player up the field is standing on the square? How are you going to fix that?
hence my statement, Kevin, the game to watch is shocking.
It's difficult.
It's not attractive. It's exciting.
Well, how
It's
would you
popular.
Make, okay, stop criticising. Put some ideas on the table, which is something that you
Well,
very rarely do.
On the contrary, Kevin.
No, what? Don't point your finger too much at me. You can break
On the contrary, don't worry about changing the rules. How about we change the mentality of people who coach and say this is not logical to play the way the game's played. Have some set structures up in the forward line, and when you get the ball, don't hold it. Kick it down to someone in the same coloured jumper who might be making a lead. Have a different strategy rather than all just being the same. It's
Well,
it's
but you're saying that
pathetic.
they're robot coaches, are you?
I am.
Well, say it. Don't hint.
All right. You know what? You've grilled Paul Sheeds on the modern game.
No, I'm not grilling him.
That's okay.
Let's
I
let's
like
now,
he's a good-
let's now
I like
celebrate.
he's a
Let's now
star.
celebrate the great man.
All right,
Now,
let's celebrate
No,
him.
hold on. Do you like out of bounds off your foot or shin accidentally? You call that deliberate? That's a rule I change tomorrow.
That's right. That's the,
So there are rules. That
don't get onto the umpires, Kevin.
Oh, no, we won't do that.
Don't get onto the umpires. They are a great part of why this game is degenerated.
I think it's their instructions.
Absolute
I think it's their
Well,
instructions.
You're pathetic at times.
Well,
You are pathetic.
So you-
you wouldn't be able to. You wouldn't even be able to blow a whistle, let alone.
how hard is it to umpire a game of football?
They're very difficult.
Oh, you'd be joking. You could tell if someone's staging. You can tell if someone has their arms chopped. You can tell if someone's abusing you. You can tell if they come over the mark. You can tell plenty of things if you've been
Actually,
part of the game.
Where's that gone? Where's the...
No, Sam's the perfect. That is so good. That is.
Why
so
are the four
good.
umpires?
where,
I think the umpires have a difficult job and they do it pretty good. That makes them lose every now and then, but so do you when you're driving that bomb of yours outside.
Where's dissent gone, by the way?
I haven't had a demerit point for 18 years.
You haven't probably driven for 18 years.
and he drives like driving Miss Daisy.
You think she's in America going
don't
down
start
with
on
66
driving.
does?
Can I just ask a question? Where's the dissent rule gone? Well, the players that went through a period where if you just went like that, they'd pay a free kick.
That's right.
They do umpire in moods. I think a lot depends on.
That's why the umpires
Umpire in
have the
moods.
toughest game because the
The
AFL,
footy department in the AFL, they probably live in.
they change the rules
up
too
and down
often
with moods, don't they?
for them.
I see. So they're not consistent.
No, of course they don't.
Oh, I
The
see.
whole world's not consistent.
Well, we're talking about the game that you say is. You're talking about
One
the
thing
game.
is consistent as you.
Thank you.
You are such a whinging person at times on everything in the world, but you're consistent.
That's good. See?
No, well,
There we go.
it's all right
That's
to
good.
make a
We
general,
okay?
generic statement like that. Give us an example.
Well,
If you are
I've only
sitting
been
there-
here for 5 minutes and you've whinged for the last 5 minutes.
I'm not whinging
G'day,
about
Kevin. How are you? Say hello nicely.
Kevin.
Good to see
If you will,
Haven't seen you for years.
if you will remember, I said you were a great person before you came on. I said you've done more for football. Wayne said you've done more for football. You're a legend. I said you're Mr. ANZAC. I've given you. I'm saying to you, you will not admit it, but you, I know, think that the game is pretty ordinary
We can get it better.
spectacle.
We can get it better.
And you have given me you've backed up what I've said by you saying you should change the rules about kicking it back. That's my point. And then you said when it gets down the forward line, no one can kick a goal because there's 30 people down there. That's exactly my point. How is that interesting and exciting to watch?
Well, don't play wings. You get more people off the ground, maybe. Have a think about that. Trial it in practice games. I come out of the VFA, 16 aside, right? And there was plenty of space. You get 4 off the ground and put them on you have more on the bench then, but they still get a game.
More on the bench.
Well,
God
only because
almighty.
you're taking some off the ground. which
Might as well
gives you
put a
more
turnstile on the
flexibility.
bench, just people
Well,
coming
look,
backwards and forwards.
If you want to have an idea like that, it gets squashed straight away.
What, more on the
People
bench?
the
You
same
have more on the
amount.
bench, but
Less
less
on
on the
the
ground. Yeah. I don't disagree with that.
And then if you had less, if you took 2 players off each side, you'd have a ready-made side when the new one comes in.
Well, don't watch
You wouldn't have to
Gridiron.
dilute the
Don't watch
pack.
Gridiron. Don't watch anything, I mean,
What?
the games evolve.
Evolved?
Yeah,
It's
of course
evolved into nonsense.
Well, that's what you think.
That is what I think.
go to the games and I love watching the great players perform.
Give us some.
Sometimes-
Give us some.
Lockie Neal, God, he's been fantastic. What about
Yeah.
Zorko? He should
Sam.
be riding in the Melbourne Cup, but he's been a fantastic player for that long. And 2 or 3 years ago, he's actually stood up and said, "No, I'm still in this game," and they
Yep.
put him on a half-back flank. Now, there's a lot of incredible players that actually perform very, very well. They're not the Wayne Careys, and they're not, the Royce Harts. And
You mean they're not
they're
exciting?
well, no, they actually. Well, you wouldn't know. You're just a ruckman. Hit the ball to people and say, "Now off you go, boys, play." I mean, these guys that generate the excitement in the game of midfielders that really move up and down the ground, slot the ball where they like to.
You know,
and it's up to the key forwards to mark it, and you go, "Oh, I've got to go and jump again in a minute. No, I've got to go."
We're living in a world
You like
where I just said we're living in a world where intelligent people are being silenced, so that stupid people won't feel offended.
well, there's been 14 ruckmen that have coached since 1960.
There's what?
14 ruckmen that have only ever coached about.
Yeah.
Right.
And your point?
5 full backs.
And your point?
Well, my point is ruckman just hit the ball and don't know much about the game. Okay. And the last two that were in grand finals are John Nichols and John Kennedy, 50 years ago. So don't start telling me about footy. You guys,
I'm not telling.
And then for many years would stand back near in defence and take a few marks and win Brownlows. And coaches stopped that and put you back on the ballpark of being a little bit more sort of serious about your footy. How long all those ruckman that won Brownlows, hanging back around the fence by himself, nowhere near their opponent and winning Brownlow after Brownlow.
That's why when you talk about Tony Lockett, like you said before, like no one will ever kick 100 goals again because Sheed said it.
I agree with
because of the dilution. No, but I think the only reason why they won't is because we just don't have a player capable of doing it. When you say back in the day, when we played against Essendon, or we played against, you had Matthew Lloyd, and you had Lucas at centre forward, and then you had James Hird running around on ball. You focus on certain players. When we played against Tony Lockett, this is what we did. We had Mick Martin punch him in the back of the head and play on him. Did not give him anything. Chop his arm, punch him in the head, wrestle him, everything. We had Glenn Archer play on the inside of his opponent. We had Danielle Laidley play on the inside of his opponent, right? We had the ruckman stand in front of Plugger. Yep. So think about this. So the whole defence, you still kick 10.
I think it's all right.
Don't ever tell me that they wouldn't still kick 100 goals.
I think it is okay, Wayne. I think it is okay if you're talking about a man who used to play football to call him what his name was when he played football.
Now known
Dean
as
Laidley.
Danielle.
Well, I know he's now Danielle, but I think you could say you had Dean Laidley. I know, but it's him being just. I tell you who. I tell you who gave you more opportunities to win grand finals and make a success, and that is a ruckman called Simon Madden. He was not only a star goal kicker. I think he kicked almost 500 goals. Maybe he didn't.
575.
Did he?
That's why he's a legend. Most goals ever kicked by a ruckman.
And
the next one's 505 by Paul Salmon.
And a supreme. So those two ruckmen gave you your side, and you pumped your stocks up. These are dumb ruckmen, you say, that do nothing.
No.
Do nothing, you said.
I actually got him into a very good position of moving forward as well as hitting the ball. Something that you possibly may not have been able to achieve.
When I changed with Farmer, and when I was the number one ruckman for Geelong for 15 years, I played.
Did you kick 100 goals?
Yeah, I did.
On your jumper. I read it.
Yeah, I did.
Madden kicked 575.
But I wasn't a designated goal kicker. I did the other end, saving the game rather than winning it.
Brownlow by rolling back onto Paul Wayne Carey at centre forward and doubling up on him.
No, all the little people who win Brownlows are all under the umpires. You know that are under the umpires' feet all the time. Aren't they?
Okay, come on. Let's get on to Sheeds and Anzac Day.
Yes.
It's good to meet you, Steve. Yeah, it's good to see you.
Well, I meet you often.
I don't get to see you that often.
I meet you often.
When you come off your boat every now and then, it's good to get you back on land.
Sheeds, when you're off air, come on. When you're off air, we were saying all the things you've done. We know what you obviously premiership player. Premiership coach, all of those things. But in terms of off the ground, and I've said this to you personally, I've said it publicly a million times. There's been no better promoter of our game than Kevin Sheedy, and I'm not, I've said that to your face. I don't say anything about anyone I wouldn't say to them. And is Anzac Day, out of all of those things that you've done off the ground, is Anzac Day the single biggest thing?
Oh, I would have to be.
You get
but
firm.
It was closer to my heart than most other people. Yep. I was in the army.
Yeah.
So when you're in the defence forces, you learn about. My first coaching job was in the army. I'm talking to people who come back from the Vietnam War. I mean, they are very serious people looking at you, and I'm 20.
No, sorry, I didn't.
And I'm going to talk about courage and working as a team when they're trying to avoid tunnels in Vietnam and trip wires and getting shot at and by snipers and so when you actually feel that and see that when you're talking to a team and you've just turned 21 on your 21st birthday, thinking, God almighty, people in society got no idea about war zones and so that's why it's always been a little bit more important to me than coaches.
But how does it come about? Are you just lying in bed one night?
No.
And you just lie there and you go, you know what? I reckon this would be a great idea. I reckon, like how does the idea?
Yeah, imagination and dreaming are very, very powerful for me. And
imagination and dreaming, are they?
Yeah, well,
you dream a lot.
I do.
Yeah, bloody oath you do.
I'll tell you what,
you live in
it's
a
very
dream
important
world.
Sometimes you do. Well, if I walked in this room, I'm telling you now, I am meeting in the room of a very big dream, and it's called you. So in the I'm sorry, I know, but I know what you don't see the other part of this place. But I think in the end, I played in a game in 1977, Richmond versus Collingwood, and I couldn't believe that 85,000 people turned up back in the 1970s for a home and away game. It was ANZAC Day. So I thought, well, Collingwood are a club that just have people follow. They've been the most unsuccessful grand final team of all time as a club, but they have been the most incredible club and supporters of never, ever not turning up. And that's what you need to have on ANZAC Day.
Yeah.
So you take and transfer that from 77 to 95, because you can have a great idea or a good idea, but you've got to place it. If you place it incorrectly at the wrong time, you'll get it lost in the forest. And that's what I've learned. I did a innovation course in Disney World, Florida over in the early 90s. And come back, and that was the first idea that came out of imagination.
No, it's Kevin.
No, I'm just saying to you that's.
Yeah.
I didn't know it's going to.
So you decided you'd piggyback your side. And this is not a criticism. You'd piggyback. This is a compliment. Piggyback your side, Essendon, onto the greatest draw card side, Collingwood, and you'd have a standout Anzac Day in celebration, not in celebration, in recognition of World War One.
Correct.
Anzac Day.
Australian New Zealand Army.
Yes.
And every other war that we've been in since. But the one thing about Essendon is they're called the Bombers.
Yes, well done.
We're not the tanks.
No, we're the
not
Bombers.
The Jeeps. We're the Bombers. So
Do you
it's
think?
A great connection.
Do you think it should be mandatory for every person who plays AFL football to have walked the Kokoda Trail?
Not necessarily.
You don't?
No, I don't. But
have you ever walked the Kokoda Trail?
No,
well, I tell you what.
I don't intend to.
You don't?
Not at nearly 80.
Well,
that's okay.
I did it when I was 70, and it nearly killed me. I did it with Gary Lyon, and on behalf of the Papua New Guinea Tourist Bureau. And if you don't get emotional, and Papua New Guinea, what did I say?
New Guinea. Oh, you're right. Papua New Guinea.
Sorry, it's a country. Why?
No. It's just
it's
the way
not Morab.
your pronunciation.
Papua
New Guinea.
Papua New Guinea.
Papua New Guinea.
It's Geelong, mate. Geelong grammar.
Not Papa, is it?
Papua New Guinea.
Papua New Guinea.
Wonga. Hey, Wonga, don't go to Geelong grammar.
I was going to say Wonga High is not.
One of the most emotional things you'll do, beside it almost killing you physically, is to go and do the Kokoda Trail.
I was going to do it. I did my calf just before I was about to do it. I hurt my calf.
Did you?
Yeah.
Well, you should.
It's a bit hard to do with one leg.
You should take
Cody. And for what it's worth, I didn't. People said it's fascinating to do, but if you're physically fit, you should do it reasonably.
Plenty of people do it and they're not fit.
Did you carry your own pack?
No.
Well, that's the key. They say if you carry your pack, it's hard. If you don't carry,
why
didn't you carry your pack?
Well, I didn't carry.
Well, you had someone carry it for you. So you're in that war, and you say to your mate, "Can you carry my pack?"
I carried a backpack with water and foodstuffs in it, but not my sleeping gear. People who went up who were filming it went ahead.
You should be carrying all that. That's what they had to do when they were in the war.
I carried a backpack.
You didn't have some lackey carrying your stuff for you.
I carried a backpack with all my supplies and food and water in it.
Take his own camera crew.
No, it's very good. I'm being facetious.
I know. To talk about Kevin, he puts his
so-called a men's shed or something.
How about the toffee? He puts his garbage out in briefcases. That's how toffee you are.
Don't be like that.
And so Kevin. I'm staggered you haven't done the Kokoda Trail, and you should do it now.
I won't be doing it.
Why not?
It's common sense.
No, mate, there's plenty of people. There's people who do it with no legs.
My job at the moment is trying to stay alive. So that's what I'm doing. Okay, Sam, you ought to try it. Is anybody home in there?
So,
I come here to make you happy today. Don't get grumpy with me.
no, I'm not grumpy with you. I'm staggered that you. Just staggered about your opinion about the game.
Well, help me, Matt Wayne.
So Anzac Day, as we said, so you get it up and going. Never thought it was going to be as big. So here we are. We're on the verge. What are we? A couple of days away from
30,
what is it? 30? Is it 30-year anniversary?
Well,
Is
it
it?
was 1 year missed because of COVID.
Right. So it's 30 years played.
Yes.
Yeah.
30 matches.
30 matches played. Yeah. It's quite. That's how old you feel. It doesn't feel like it was 30 years ago that you started
it. Was a great,
first
game.
1995.
You're spot on with what you said before, Sheeds. The great thing about this day, like you said, doesn't matter where Essendon are or where Collingwood are on the ladder, the crowd comes, right? And so you pick the right teams. I've always been very envious because you want to play. You'd love to have played in an Anzac Day game. Unfortunately, only two teams get to do it. But in saying that, that's the great thing about this game, and that is it doesn't matter where the Bombers have been. No. And by the way, after you left the Bombers, they've been down the bottom there somewhere.
Yeah, and they'll get a nice
Collingwood, and vice versa. Collingwood have been down. Whenever they've been, whether they've been top, bottom, where they just end up being great clashes.
What was I going to say
Always
then?
a great
You
contest.
reckon that they're going to get a smashing this
Absolute belting.
Who?
It's okay.
The Bombers?
Yeah, because
I don't think they will.
And I thought,
don't you?
I'll tell you why.
Why?
Because this game, and I know there has been some floggings or whatever, but in general, this game ends up being a contest, and it doesn't. Like I said, I reckon the Bombers will show up because they generally do.
We got no ruckman, but
Hey,
Will you go into the rooms before?
no, I don't go in them.
No,
I've never been in the room since
I haven't asked the question yet.
I won't be going in any rooms.
Would you be invited to go into the Essendon rooms?
No.
And what
How the
course you
Bombers-
would be?
Because I'm
You're on the board, aren't you?
I'm doing other. No, I'm not on the board.
You were.
how are the Bombers travelling, Sheets?
Bombers.
Shit house.
No, that was not me, ladies and gentlemen. That was Sam doing.
Well, they're no good at the minute.
Well, we've won 3.
What?
We've won 3
One,
games.
3 and 3, aren't they?
They beat your side?
5, except, going back to who you thought were going to win or lose this week, did you think that Richmond was going to beat Gold Coast last week, did you?
No.
No one did.
No.
So you never know what happens.
You never do.
Correct. No, it should be a great game. What about? Hang on, there's other. Yeah, sorry, you go, Sam. As long as it makes sense.
Yeah, well, that's hard.
No, it's not. Don't you think it's divisive that you have an Indigenous side play against other people? Why did you say you have an Indigenous round where Indigenous players play against everyone else? Don't you think that's divisive?
Well, who's done that?
Didn't you do that? Didn't you start aren't you the instigator of...
Dreamtime game.
Yeah, aren't you instigator of that?
Absolutely, and I'm very proud of it.
No.
It's one of the other great games
Well, you
you've.
wouldn't understand that.
Hang on a minute. This is not...
No, it's a celebration
Of
what?
of
First
our
Nations
Indigenous
people,
First Nations people that have played
in what?
that play in the AFL.
So it's a team of Indigenous players.
No, it's the two.
What planet have you been on?
Because last week, this boy here said it was a great thing at the start of the game, a year that the Indigenous players.
Oh no, that was at the start of this year. That was Fremantle.
That's right.
All Stars.
Dreamtime game.
That's not the Dreamtime game.
No, well, I'm saying to you, why do you think that's a good idea?
Why?
Yeah, that's divisive.
I'll tell you why I think that's a good idea, because you get to see all the Indigenous boys play with one another and see the skill set and the type of game that they bring. I love the game. I love that game. I thought it was a fantastic game. And it was a little bit of, it wasn't a great pressure game, but it was I loved it. I loved it.
See, this is where Sam gets confused. He wants the game to be great. And what the Indigenous boys do, they play attacking football from the goal square in defence.
Excuse me, don't suggest that I don't think the Indigenous players are not fantastic.
Just explain those sheets.
Yeah, that's right.
What people don't understand.
It's a pity there's not more of them playing it today so that we could bring the game back to what it was.
Is part of why you came up with that concept.
They're doing very well.
They are.
That concept of the
Isn't
Indigenous
that
game
ironic?
as well. The Indigenous game as well is to celebrate, because what people don't understand, a lot of these boys, and I remember McDonald Tippermoody's a great example, and a lot of the other boys, unlike guys like Andrew McLeod and that came from, obviously the top end, but then they moved and they did some schooling, outside of where they come from. But some of these kids go from the top end move straight to Melbourne and are expected to fit in. So the celebration, is that why you came up with that particular idea, or what?
Well, the whole thing about, like, before Michael Long, this state only played 25 Aboriginal boys.
Yeah.
In 100 years, that's pathetic.
Well, you played with one of the greats.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The great.
Yeah.
One of the
Essendon
greats.
had
one. You know what? He won 2 best of the ground in grand finals. Norm MacDonald. Never picked another one. You tell me.
Yeah.
And this is go back to 1950s. Right? So when you select Michael Long and then Wanganeen and then get Derek Kickett and then Cockatoo Collins, and all of a sudden you get a flow on, there's 400 being drafted.
Yeah, is
Michael
Kickett the
Long
boy you
Yeah.
dropped?
Wow.
Is Kickett the lad you dropped in the grand final?
Yeah.
Was it?
Well, you drop him. You drop yourself.
Yeah, people would say that's racist today if you'd done that. People would say that's racist if you dropped Kickett the day before the grand final. You dropped an Indigenous player.
Well, I picked the best team to win the game on that time. Okay, so suck it up and get over it.
I was joking.
No, you don't.
Oh, wasn't I? You
Can you get a box
imbecile.
of tissues for this bloke, please?
So isn't it ironic that we're relying on the African lads to rescue the game? You just said.
I think that one of the great things about immigration is that we'll bring a flow through.
Yeah, of course it is.
And Bashir Julio was the first person to pick a Muslim boy who ended up getting cut by Essendon when Matthew Knights was there, and he goes on and plays in 3 premierships for Richmond. What an amazing story that is.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
I think that's what I love about our country growing. We do have problems in that area sometimes, obviously, but when they get to be involved in our fantastic game of Australian football, then we have a fantastic opportunity to look at what we've got. So NRL, your mob.
Yeah, what?
Your NRL.
NRL?
Yeah.
Rugby?
Yeah.
What about my
We
mob?
talked about Storm before.
I was just saying.
They have a third of NRL
Islanders.
Yeah.
So we all have.
Well,
something
I'm not
that-
knocking
Actually,
that.
that's one thing about the state of origin in rugby league. I've got to say, and I'm a Wagga Wagga boy, so I'm a league boy. Is they've got to change the rules for state of origin, because a lot of those boys, well, their origin's not Queensland or New South Wales.
Really?
Their origin,
Samoa.
Glad you brought it
the
up.
origin is somewhere else. I think, my opinion, state of origin is where you're born, not where you play. But anyway, where you're born, is that your state of origin? Is it not?
Yeah, of course.
But what it reminds me, Sheed,
about 6 weeks' time, right? Get me in again, and I'll talk to you, and I'll go through what my next idea will be. For
Oh, I'm
We
just
should.
going to say, you sit out on your... You're still out where that beautiful place
With the
out
rose
there?
garden
Or have
there?
you bought a place down the coast, haven't you?
on Golden Pond.
just
Yeah, that's right. You sit there...
You'd remember-
Sit there with a bit of
Sheeds,
twigs
you'd
hanging out
remember-
your mouth, thinking up all these great ideas that you can
Nothing
bring
wrong
in.
with common sense.
you'd remember, obviously, when Jackie Robinson way back. So you think back when baseball and Jackie Robinson was picked to play.
Oh, yeah, I remember that
Baseball.
well.
Do you?
Oh,
so
shit,
you
yeah.
watched? Yeah, no, it's a great movie. It's a great movie.
great.
Jackie Robinson, and then you think about then the NBA, and then the changes and on all sports and how they've gone through. And to be honest with you, the more Indigenous players that play our game, you want excitement. You want more Indigenous players playing
Yes,
our game.
and Africans.
Yes.
Yes, they're going to bring the
I
game.
think California's the best recruiting ground for AFL in the next 25 years. But
Well,
you wouldn't even think about that, would you?
Whether
You're
you
tied up riding around in that rocket car of yours, thinking you're on Route 60.
At least I'm not sitting out in some property on my own, thinking up things that you can do to make the game give you a legacy, give
he's
you
got
a
his
great
legacy.
legacy.
Exactly what I want
He's
to
got
talk
a
about,
legacy. He's got a legacy.
Well, let's get on to one day when this state awakens, that we can actually say that we actually one day created a lottery for our Defence Forces, which is what I wrote about last weekend.
I saw that on the news. Tell us about that, Sheeds.
Well,
God almighty,
Yeah,
that's
hold
another
on.
thing you've thought up.
Well, it should be done. It should have been done years ago, decades ago. It's going over to America earlier this year, I just happened to pick up a brochure, and in Colorado, they have a lottery to look after their land, right? It's $4 or $5 a ticket, that's all. Mm-hmm. And they've raised $3.9 billion in Colorado since 1984 of American currency, and they have about 1.5 million less people in Victoria.
Wow.
So here's an idea that you can transfer from land into human loving care for your men and women who have been to the war zones. So now it won't hurt our government here and the people of Victoria to actually think about caring about our Defence Force people who come back from war zones. And I think it's important that we do.
It's fantastic.
I'll put it on that. I won't argue with it all. I don't even want you to...
No, I agree. I agree.
It should have been done a long time ago.
So exciting that you... I always thought you were just a nuggety little angry back pocket player for Richmond. You're a nuclear physicist. You've come up with... you're revolutionising...
I'll go home today and Geraldine will say, where you been? I said, I've been out with the best male bitch of all time. Tell us when we're on air, will you?
Oh, fantastic. So you'll be going along on to ANZAC Day, surely. Are you fated and honoured? Will you be driven around in an open top car?
When I leave here, I'm down at Cross Keys. We've got it sold out.
No, I'm talking about the game.
All the way. I'm just booked out right through.
Do you do a lap of... are you involved? No, but are you...
Fire a couple of shots over the crowd. Get a gun.
You want bulletproof. Bulletproof.
You're like the
glass
Pope.
Now.
Get the Pope mobile.
No, you don't.
Go near there.
Hang on. So you don't do
wonderful Pope.
You don't do a lap before the game or anything. Yeah.
You're kidding. I'm trying to get to...
You should be doing it. You should be tossing the coin or doing something.
Yeah.
I'll be honest.
Oh, you're tossing it.
Trying to get...
Are you tossing the coin?
No, I was trying to get Cosgrove down to toss the coin.
Oh, yeah. Peter.
Yeah, Peter. Well, not Craig.
Lovely Peter.
Sir Peter.
Not Craig. No, not Wayne Bellamy.
No.
Oh, mate, you make one mistake on this. I'm fully medicated up.
The great coach has gone to South Sydney. Okay.
So if you can't get Peter Cosgrove, Sir, yes. Who else? Who's your next in line if he won't do it? What about yourself?
You always get a chance. No,
nominate yourself.
Get a Victorian Cross winner.
All right, yeah, good.
That's what you do.
Actually, that's a conversation we should. Sir Ben Roberts, not Ben Roberts Smith.
Oh.
Get him to toss it.
No, well he
get
won.
Him in here.
He won a Purple Heart, didn't he? But I know he's had all that.
We've
other
asked
stuff.
Ben Roberts Smith to come in here. We're trying to get him to come in here.
He won the Purple Heart, didn't he? But I know he's had
the
Victoria Cross. Yeah,
Purple Heart's only if you get injured, isn't it? Is that what it is?
I don't know.
All I know is I think some of our Defence Forces have been smashed by Australian people.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree.
I wasn't happy with the ABC report a couple of months
ago. Oh, you wouldn't be happy with the ABC. They're the most disgraceful,
disingenuous...
disingenuous...
On that person they blamed that in a helicopter, and I thought, mate...
They're the most disingenuous organisation who represents us.
Anyway, I'll leave it
Our ABC. They're a disgrace.
Yeah, but you're just up against them because...
Because what?
Wokeism and all that sort of stuff. I know you.
Oh, I'm up against them because of wokeism.
All that, yeah.
What's that mean?
I don't know, but I'm worried about you. You pick on people and...
Who do I pick on?
ABC.
Sam, are you allowed to? Are you going to go to the ANZAC Day game or?
Turn it up, mate. The game's in disrepute.
Hey?
I tell you what, I'll watch it, and I'll watch it, and I will watch the ANZAC Day game.
Oh, it's good.
Yep.
If I'm feeling better, we should sit up and watch it together.
What about we both go together?
No, he'll be on the boat. No, he'll be on the boat.
Oh, you wouldn't come. You wouldn't come.
On his boat
I don't go and sit in the outer.
Mate, I'm a 50-year member.
Oh, you have a photo with the people.
No, if I go to the...
I've got a special room at the MCG for people like me. I'm a 50-year member. We sit in a leather chair enclosure that no one can get into.
You're a member?
I'm a 50-year member.
Of the MCC?
MCC.
Oh, no, you're a very...
Yeah, but you've been barred from there.
No, I haven't been...
You got barred. You know what? He tried to get in there. He tried to get in there with the wrong footwear, the wrong clothing.
Oh, mate.
He transferred his tickets. He's tried to
Is
break.
that everything? Do
He's tried to break every law you can possibly
Who
break.
do you think you are?
Yeah, thank you, Steve.
That's not. There's a
My
modicum of
son's name's Sam. I'm gonna get.
there's a modicum of truth in everything he says then, but it's not completely accurate. Now,
How
Kevin,
long we do this for?
well,
I don't
stop
wanna-
whenever you like. Would you like to get on to
something
things other than football?
Well, what are we talking about?
No,
You
but-
know, what?
Well, there's plenty of things that we talk about.
Yeah, we can do that.
What did you think about the government being sprung for not relying on the medical evidence about the Victorian government locking down the state for COVID? Nothing to do with medical advice. They just decided to lock it down. The most
I would be very concerned when I did read that headline.
yeah.
Surely every small business that's gone under. What sort of case would they have now to have a class action?
That would be
Trust the science.
Open up a real
No,
can of
but
worms there.
the amount of businesses that have gone under, the amount of people that have gone, well, I assume there'd be people that have gone homeless since.
Suicides, bankruptcies,
everything.
People not getting educated because of bloody-mindedness by the most dishonest and corrupt government ever in the history of the world. Didn't trust the science, just bloody-mindedly shut down the state.
Did you have the jabs?
Well, only because you
had to
couldn't
work.
go anywhere.
Did you have the jabs, Sheeds? So we all had them because we
But they were
were
for
bribed.
everyone.
You know what? We're bribed to have them. We're bribed. We're told you will not be able to work or you will not be able to do anything if you don't have the.
And it was all bogus. They trusted not the science. They just decided dictatorial government, just a disgrace. And I see.
The Premier? You're having a crack at the Premier here, aren't you?
I'm having to go crack at his government.
If you sat down with him, what sort of conversation would you have with him? Why do you get him in instead of me?
I would love to speak to the Premier, to the ex-Premier. I'd ask him about the large payout he's just given the boy Newman because he ran over him in a bike.
Has that been settled?
Yeah,
Has
a
it?
huge amount
Has
of
it
money.
been settled?
It is. I'm not sure it's been settled, but they've given him a huge cash payout.
And
Why would that be?
Has that come from him?
That's just in the paper today. Let me show
Well,
you.
don't believe what you read in the paper. For Christ's sake.
Well, let me read it out to you.
Picked up the paper.
Don't believe
picked
what
up
you
his
read in the
phone.
paper.
What?
Why'd you go and buy a paper? And keep
He is
it
one.
organised?
He is one guy.
Here, look. Dan Crash Hush Money. Here we go.
Who's the rider?
The cyclist struck by Daniel and Catherine Andrews has pocketed a secret out-of-mount settlement worth several $100,000.
That's well. Hopefully,
That's that. He said. Michael Warner.
He's always
it must be true.
The major law firm Slater and Gordon has agreed to hand over the massive payout, just explosive, just before it goes to court.
What
So-
about?
So this is a government. This is the people. This is the head of the government you're dealing with. They closed down iCook Foods by completely making up a fabricated story about contamination in iCook Foods. Put 35 people out of work because they are corrupt and dishonest. That government.
Don't get sued. Just be careful.
What about
You can't get sued for saying the government's corrupt.
mate of mine, Sam? You like this? Breddy from Bundalong Tavern,
Yes.
up near Yarrawonga. Bundalong, great big pub there.
Yarrawonga.
Fantastic. Take the kids there. Carter learned how to swim without his jacket for the first time in that pool, but Brett's a great man. And I read this, actually, how long ago was this? It wasn't all that long ago. Hang on, 25th of March I took this. I forgot to bring it up. Oh, sorry.
That just fell on them in
Yeah,
nuggets.
25th of March.
Nothing there.
That he turfed Dan out of his pub. And it said ban Dan. So the Bundalong Tavern wouldn't let him in the
I read that.
in the pub. And he's a mate of mine, Big
You
Bretty.
wanna
I'll tell
be-
you what, if I was Dan too,
You wanna be
and
very
you saw
careful.
Brett coming towards you.
You want to be very careful when you accuse me of being conned by AI. God, oh fucking my.
Well, you won't be speed
Well,
on.
fucking how much space do you need?
Well, you
That's
ex-
the second time you've banged me out.
Well, you expect me to be on top of you. Anyway, that's not AI.
isn't it?
No, that was in the
I know it was in. Oh, you're believing
most
that, are you?
truthful paper ever anything's ever been written in. So that's got to be the truth. But what I'm saying is, Bretty's a good man, and if I would, there'd be nothing would please me more to see Brett grab him by the scruff of the neck and turf him out. Anyway,
very aggressive.
You're a socialist. What?
I'm a socialist.
Yeah, you're a socialist, aren't you?
Well, what's a socialist? I'm a social person.
What's a socialist? You know, they
I don't
get
know what you mean,
entitlements and gifts from the government to help you live your life. That's what a socialist is. You have the state.
I'm not on a pension. I go and work every day.
I'm not. No.
I go to work every day. Don't tell me I'm a socialist because I'm on a pension. I don't have a pension. Okay.
You have socialist outlook.
Well, what's that mean?
Well, that you're not a
Share.
You don't subscribe to the capitalist industry. You're not a capitalist. You're not
Well,
a free enterprise
I'm
man.
an Irish Catholic, and I'll leave it at
That's
that.
exactly right.
I'm an Irish
Th-
Catholic.
I'll stand.
And I'm not changing.
Hey, so who are you going to the game with? Geraldine,
I hope so.
right? And where will you sit?
Next to her. Very
Will you be
difficult.
fated by Andrew Dillon?
I don't think so. Look, I don't think so. I think I'm going.
What about Andrew Dillon, who's penalised all those boys at the start of the year for going to an after grand final party and said it was the most disgraceful thing he's ever seen?
they got 3 weeks for that.
Oh, I know.
And
What did you
other
think
people
of
have
that?
got 4 weeks.
Well, I don't know the.
Yes, you do.
I don't. I wasn't there and listened to it.
The
I don't
Greater
sit down
West
and-
Sydney players had an
Don't talk about my
after-season.
Giants.
That's right. So
Hey,
you got them on the map.
Sheeds, I just got to say, Carter and I, my 6-year-old son, have decided this year we're going for GWS because North Melbourne are shit. So we both said we want to barrack for a winning team this year, and we hope they win the flag. That's your baby. You started.
You're in the what an ideal position you are. You can barrack for Richmond, you can barrack for Essendon, you can barrack for Greater West Sydney. You can just pick who you like, and you're always associated with winners, no matter who they are, because you've been to every club that's ever been made.
Oh yeah.
I had to lose a lot of games to get the Giants up and rolling. Don't worry about that. I mean, the only thing I left.
Sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
Yeah, you're allowed
No, I
to touch
didn't
me.
mean to touch you. Well, I'm trying to keep your
Get
elbow.
away from him. He's a
Trying to keep your elbow away from the microphone.
The only thing I left in the Giants are their colours. Because if you put a yellow sash on a red sash, you get orange. So that's my DNA left forever. So you wouldn't even think
Now
about
we've
that,
finally found out his mentality. Are you listening to this stuff?
Yeah.
Hey, that's how his brain works.
well, it's perfect. Orange. Put a yellow and a red sash together. Any 5-year-old colouring in will know when you put yellow on red, you get orange, and I've left it there forever. So I love the colours.
It's
I
unbelievable.
like.
You wouldn't be able to think.
You know the jumper,
You would use the long grammar.
that black jumper,
Pokey
that
school.
charcoaly jumper that they wear with the G on it. That is.
Well, that's the sunset.
Very good, yeah.
That's the sunset over the Blue Mountains.
Love it.
Late in the day.
Love it.
Orange
Yeah,
and
yeah,
grey.
yeah, beautiful.
How do you think Trump's
I'm a very
going?
deep person. You wouldn't understand that.
Do you think Trump's doing a good job?
Not necessarily. I think
Speaking in the
he's
microphone.
definitely confusing the world, Sam.
Is he?
Oh, well, what do you think?
He's not confusing people who know what he's on about.
I think the world would be annoyed with him a bit at the moment. Yeah,
Of course, because he's
Annoyed
standing
with
up
him
for the
well,
country.
he's rattled the cage, obviously.
Yes.
Economically throughout the world, but there's a lot of people out there that are not happy.
There's a lot of people weren't happy with him
Most
before he was
countries in the
elected.
world.
The majority of
On
Americans
tariffs.
are delighted that he's the
No,
president.
I don't know about that either.
Anyway,
look.
He had a landslide victory in every department of American society.
Which tells you that which I know I've just come from America, right? About obviously in January, February, and
Yeah, go on. This will be
I
good.
reckon there's a lot of areas where America could get better.
Yes.
He's got a big job.
Thanks to the
get it
former
better.
man who was the retarded man who was
No,
before
no,
him.
Previous 10 years. Don't blame one person. Come on, get over it. It's
Well,
like- it's a 10-year issue.
Clinton then
Oh, well,
as
who
well.
I thought Bill was pretty good.
He was pretty good, Bill.
Yeah.
Because he was a centralist. He didn't take his party to the extreme left and all this. Could I ask you this
So why
question?
didn't Hillary get appointed?
Because she's a dog.
What?
She's hopeless. She's
Mate,
just
Sam,
I was
no.
actually-
To
how
Kevin.
could you call people that? I mean, get over yourself.
I was actually going for
You
Hillary.
ever look in the mirror and go back to some of the comments you've made on the day,
So what
day
about,
by day?
So
I
you
should have said that. Gee, that was that was rude, arrogant. I mean, have a good look at yourself sometimes. No, you. Don't look at me.
No, how can I look at myself? I'm
Look in the mirror.
Well, I'm looking at you.
I heard there's a lot of mirrors in your house.
So you liked Hillary Clinton, did you? What did you
I
like
just
about
thought
her?
it was-
She was about as dishonest as
Highly-
the former Labor government. here.
Highly intellectual woman.
She's highly intellectual. She is the most
You'd be-
corrupted, dishonest. She was a shocker.
So you know.
Yeah.
How the hell would you know?
Because, but I'll tell you how I know.
Sam believes everything he reads.
I
tell
can't
you
believe
how
your
I-
brain's got that much in there.
I tell you how I know, Kevin, because I study it. And if you have a look at she started the Russia hoax. She started all the lies about what she said Trump was doing, about how he went with hookers and they pissed on him at various
I don't wanna
functions.
hear this.
No, because you don't want to hear it, because you're not informed, mate. And you make decisions on these sort of things through sheer ignorance. You have no idea what you're talking about.
Let's go back to Australia. Who do you like in Australia in politics? Right now. Right now, quick. I'm over America. Let's go back to Australia. Who do you like?
tell
right
you,
now. You're going to vote.
Tell
Who
you
vote?
who I would. I tell you who is on the right track, and that's the trumpet of patriots.
The Queenslander.
Yes. Have a look at what their platform and their ideas are, and they are the people that I would think would be worth a vote.
And keep some seats
Not-
in Parliament.
What's that?
And get some seats in Parliament.
Yes.
Right, okay. Oh, that's good.
Who do you think? Oh, quick. You asked me to be quick. You an anal man, or are you Anthony Albanese? Anal? Are you anal?
Oh, that's rude. I
as
know.
opposed to ScoMo, anal? Or are you Mr. Whatever his name is? Dutton. Who are you? Who would you
I'm
be?
not going to tell you.
Oh, I see. So you asked me.
Yeah, because I'm a socialist.
Well, then.
You are a bully. You are such a bully. I might have to come back here and trim your wings.
Well, anyhow, look, we would be delighted to have you back anytime, Kevin. This has been fantastic to have you here, Wayne.
I'm going to go and tuck myself. No, thanks, Sheets.
Finish him up by saying how great he is again.
No, well, he is a legend, and legend does get thrown around far too often in our game. It sits very comfortably, in my opinion, alongside this great man.
I'll come back in about a month where I'll have a great story I think you should debate.
Yep. We've got it. You know what?
Let the voting go and all these.
There's a couple of reasons why we'll get Cheech back
1
in
month,
soon.
and I think you'll want to talk to me. In about a month.
I want to talk to you anytime you'd like to come in.
I'm going to go.
serious.
I'm going to go and put myself to bed. Been a very courageous effort today just to be here.
Have you soiled your underwear since you've been?
I've had-
He's got the squirts. That's why I say that.
I've
What?
been bloated.
Oh, a lot of people have diarrhea.
I've been bloated.
Well, he's got
the
it
whole
today.
time, and I've anyway.
Kevin,
Jack Dyer's column on it, diarrhea.
Kevin, thank you so much for joining us. It's been
A lot of fun.
entertaining.